Hello everybody, welcome back to Trash Comps. Today we are doing the All Corruptors challenge. Though this team is very good and I did get some help from the high scoring community, and the Lucky Bee helped me make some of these decks, so let's get straight into these perks. As always, you can pause if you need to look at the perks a bit longer. Nothing too special with Bree. We're not taking any resistances or health perks because we plan to kill very fast and it won't matter too much, though we are taking a lot of block. And of course we are going for Sharp does not lose charges and cannot be purged unless specified. That's going to be very useful for the remainder of our run because we want to power up our mind damage with Sharp. And then we have some Wet as well because for the early parts of the game we will be doing some cold damage. Getting on to Gustav, he's going to be fast, he's going to help speed up our team, Bree's going to help slow the enemy team down, but she also may speed up the team as well. All of our other heroes are going to have Sharp increases their shadow damage because that's going to be relevant at some point along the line for both Gustav and Nezgleckt and Amelia. He also has some Wet charges, and he's going to be applying one more powerful instead of taking any of these other perks because he's going to be mainly in that support role. The other big thing about him is that Inspire maximum charges on this hero are 1, but Inspire draws 2 cards. And then we have Bless does not lose charges at the start of turn because he will be applying Bless with Battle Ballad. For Nezgleckt, we have a lot of money, as you can see on a lot of the characters. Same deal with the Sharp, everybody else has the regular Inspire perk, and then Nez has a lot of the mind damage, but we also took Insane on enemies, reduces their max HP by 2 per charge. I didn't know how good that would be, but I thought it'd be fun, so it is fun, and it seemed pretty decent. We got maxed out shards on Amelia, still same with all the energy. We do have her going 1 slower than Nezgleckt, or sorry, at the same speed as Nezgleckt, but we took 1 less speed perk so that she could be behind him and go after to be supported. We also have Wet charges, and Wet helps Cold deal 1 more damage per charge. Then we went with Powerful, and Healing done is 10% per charge instead of 5%. Max charge is reduced by 3, so that she can do the most damage on any turn that she has Powerful, which will be most of them. We also went maxed out damage on Mind and Shadow, and then you want to take a little bit of Chill and Frost damage. And that should be it. Let's get into it. For these decks, also feel free to pause. We got some really good items here. Gauntlets and Cold Book are the main ones I'm looking at. Cold Book can help Amelia draw early on because we will be using Icicle Lances. Gauntlets gives Powerful at the start of combat, which is something we need. This is Bree's deck, pretty standard support deck. Gives Powerful, or gives a little bit of block, vulnerability, slow, all that good stuff. Gustav has Sharp, and again, thank you to Lucky. I did name these decks after him because he helped me come up with my Act 1 decks, which was very useful for trying to do this challenge. However, Amelia wasn't quite made up just yet, so I do need to spend the remainder of my shards on upgrading all these Ice Lances, buying 2 more, getting rid of Icicles and Ice Barriers. I do need to buy some Rain in order to do that because Ice Barrier is not going to deal any damage and we want to kill as fast as possible. We also aren't going to be stacking Frost too much because we're mainly focused on the Insanity damage. I did upgrade Scry to Blue for Nezgleckt, which I think is decent for the early game, but I think you want to change it to Yellow in the Act 2 when you get a little bit more options, because only discarding 3 can be a little bit rough sometimes, especially if you want to guarantee getting certain enchantments. So, for the shop, we got Amelia those gauntlets, because Powerful is very good. We're also going to buy Betty on Amelia, not Nezgleckt, because reasons. My reasoning was we're going to be mainly powering up her with Sharp, at least for the early game, so she'll be making the most use out of mind damage when we get Gustav at level 3, but she will also have shadow damage. So I'm outlining the exact path we're going to go. I did reroll till we got Rift perks and Betty. So we're going to be able to take Betty to the hatch to a rift that goes all the way down and does the Dryad fight. And we have a purple event down there. So very good map reroll. I highly recommend trying it out if you haven't before. I was not trying to go for max score on this run, and to be honest, I wasn't sure I was going to be taking every Corruptor until I started playing with this team and realized that it was super powerful. So I definitely had a lot of fun trying to figure out how to make all of this work. One thing about this team is that they do end up taking a lot of time to plan out every turn. No I don't know, I felt like every fight was a little bit different. You're trying to do the same thing, but you get those different cards and you can't quite do everything the way you want to. We did almost get all excellence as well, as a little bit of a spoiler. But it's there's one fight that was just a little bit too rough in the beginning. At least as far as the corruptor that was on it goes, and then me trying to make it work. Yeah. So here, main game plan is to spam out as many healing rains cards in general as possible, so that we can have our cold damage doing a lot. We also have those Icicle Lances that deal the double damage, which is pretty powerful, and we have Spell Sword on Amelia, so if we get her up in a Spell Sword, her Eldritch Discharge does a lot. We pick up Scavenge on Gustav, because Scavenge is a very good card. And I know I'll want it for later. It's even the upgraded yellow version that we want. So it puts a card from your discard straight back into your hand. With Gustav, I think one of the main things I was missing in my early on deck was a yellow detection when I was first making these builds. Yellow detection, we can get to it pretty often, and it's very nice. The other thing I was totally missing was the fact that we had Detox. And Detox was there so that you can give buffer to Amelia, and that way you can give her a delay response without slowing her down, because you really don't want to slow her down. Because she needs the extra fast charges most of the time in order to go faster than the enemies. So the second you slow her down, even if you got rid of the slow with clarity, she'd be too slow. Now, there is an argument for getting Rifty on Amelia later on, but Purple Betty is going to be very strong for right now. So here, we get to have a little bit of the benefit of taking every Corruptor, where we get to remove some free cards. We're going to get Purple Betty because we capture the farmer. We will be going down the Nezgleckt path later on. We got very unlucky, got the broken bones on every single person here, despite the odds being pretty much in our favor. But that's alright. Don't need too much luck. We can get rid of it because we do have a cleric. So if we go to a fire, we could potentially get rid of all that stuff. Or if we have Corruptors, where we can remove cards, we can also get rid of it there. So that's going to be something that works out pretty nicely for us if we can find it. You know, the game doesn't always give you what you want. One of the nice things about Nightmares being in the deck is that at level, or at 2 energy, they do power up Eldritch Discharge. That's the same thing with Frost Nova. I was looking at what does more damage here. I want to make sure we get the kill, turn 1. As you can see, team works pretty smoothly. It's just figuring out exactly how to get Amelia all the cards and energy that she could possibly have. It becomes a little bit tricky. I will say one other thing that's very helpful here is having the early powerful. So we can always, we're pretty much always getting 2/7 powerful on Amelia. Not having sharp early on might be a mistake here, but I opted for detection and toxic rain. Or maybe I didn't opt for detection and toxic rain. I didn't have the... Yeah, I was just going for the toxic rain here with Scavenge. One of the reasons Scavenge is very useful, we could stack up 9 wet. So all our frost spells will do 9 more damage to all those enemies. Searching for Banish here is also really nice. We're able to get rid of Broken Bones and Amelia. We get rid of some of those cards that we don't really want early on, like Icicles. We're mainly looking for Frost Novas and Ice Lances, as well as her main attack card. Now, this is the one fight that I was not able to get an excellent on. Unfortunately, the Corruptor did give him a lot of resistances, gave him a lot of HP, and we did not level up just yet, so we had a little bit of a challenge, unfortunately. That said, fight's not going too poorly, though we did take a bit of damage, and we want to be at maximum health for the boss fight, because the boss fight can do a lot. There is a purple flash here for our efforts, though, so we get some good luck. Purple flash is pretty much worth taking. I see a delay response there, but I didn't want to have to upgrade it, so which I would want to do if I took it. And purple flash is just a free draw card, deal damage. I don't know how good that really is, but my thought was also I could edit Nezgleckt's deck at some point if I needed to, and he'd have a free draw card. And by edit, I mean he could look at his own top deck and then draw into whatever I needed him to draw into. So that was the thought process there. Expected Prophecy also helps Nezgleckt do that. That's why you upgrade it early on. Even early on, it's a pretty good card. Getting rid of Ray of Frost because I just didn't think I'd need it. I was going for the AoE, and I want to play two cost spells a turn rather than anything else. But yeah, we just take out the imp straight away. That statue is no problem when you can actually focus it. We level up early here. We are going on the left side, I think, for pretty much everybody except for Bree. Bree takes the right side skill. And here we have Crystal Ball, which we can apply more sight. We got really lucky in picking up Lockpicks. Lockpicks is going to give Sharp at the start of combat, so we can get a little bit more damage on our Shadow for Amelia, at least early on here, and then later on we'll have a little bit more damage for her mind. It sounds weird saying have more damage for her mind. But I guess that's just across the obelisk. So here we actually had Gustav go before Bree because Gustav has slightly higher base speed, and we started this combat with 2 speed on everybody, which is all Bree's starting item allows her to get. So we were able to edit her deck a little bit and got her into that Piercing Howl, which was nice for us, but it was a little bit awkward because we couldn't give Gustav any Inspire and let him draw his 7 instead of just these 5 that he starts with. Still, the fight goes pretty well, and we do have 2 turns for an excellent here for some reason, but not that fight earlier where all the enemies are way harder. But that's kind of just random battles being a little bit more difficult, plus the Corruptor. So we got a second Toxic Rain. I'm not sure it's actually too worthwhile, but I thought I had enough Scavenge that I'd like to see it more often. And if we get 12 Wet up on an enemy in 1 turn, that's going to be very nice. And excuse me, that's 12 Wet up on all enemies, since we're doing mass AoE freezing. We're also able to apply a decent amount of mark with both Bree and Gustav. That's why we took the mark perks. Detection and Intimidate do help out a lot in that regard. And we're actually pretty good at focusing bosses down too, even though we have the AoE Frost Novas that we're looking at a lot, because we have Nightmares, we have these Icicle Lances, and yeah. Battlefield didn't even get to go. There's a Book of Nightmares here, but I wasn't sure when I was going to be able to upgrade it. It is a good card, it's just not that good right now. So I was hesitating on picking it up, but I figure it is going to be worthwhile in the long run. We pick up Ball of Wool, which is kind of interesting, but it does slow down on your turn, not at the start of combat. So it's not as good as I originally thought it was going to be, because Nezgleckt goes so slow that usually if I needed to slow someone down a little bit extra at the start of the fight, it's not going to happen the way I want it to. But that's okay. It was experimenting. So here, mainly we just want to kill the guy in back. I have 2 turns to get excellent, which is nice. I'm not going the optimal high scoring path. Well, I am in Act 1, but I'm not going for it for the rest of the run because my goal was just to take on all challenge corruptors, and I realized that I had a really meta team in the sense that the high score community has been messing around with this team a little bit. I mean, I think they've been messing around with a lot of teams since the DLC because there's a lot more viable options thanks to Forest Crown being on the optimal path here. So yeah, this team was very strong. Mainly, one of the big things about it is if you have a high hyper carry as well as some good supports and a high speed person, that is Bree, Magnus, or Andrin, I think works. The rest of the heroes aren't really fast enough to be reliably high speed unless you force items. So yeah, we're able to handle that fight really well. We get a push forward also, which is something I've just wanted in Bree's deck. I didn't think we'd get it this early, but we did. And then we got a purple Icicle Barrage, which is really nice because it does proc her spell, Eldritch Sword, as well as proc her enchantment, where every time she plays a spell, the highest cost card in her hand gets reduced by 1. Has to be greater than 3 costs, though, and it only can get reduced to 2. Well, because it has to be greater than 3. Any 2 cost cards do not get reduced. So you can have some Spell Sword. But that might be useful for Ray of Frost or other expensive cards like Blizzard that we could get later on. So here they do start with a good amount of buffer because of Hexproof. Hexproof being one of the more annoying things for us to face, but we are able to stack up a bit of wet on them anyways. Our main focus was, honestly, I think everybody but the Dryad. Although the Dryad I was a little bit afraid of because we're using all our block this turn, and we're not going to be able to attack into its enchantment very easily on the next turn. So here we have Icicle Barrage. One thing I did have to worry about was making sure we had enough space in our hand so that we could play Icicle Barrage, which puts 3 cards in our hand, since we have a maximum of 10 as a limit. So we weren't able to get the kill on everybody. She does not do the enchantment. We do take a fair bit of damage, almost half health on everybody there. It's a good thing we were able to kill at least 2 enemies. Heavy metal is able to do a lot of damage as well. So now I know that we're in really good shape. My main focus is just healing up. And yeah, team is quite good. So we pick up another delay response here, which is good. I did want that. I wanted to pick up Ode of War because Ode of War is something I could upgrade at this very fight here, because we did pick up a free upgrade for our Corruptor. And then I upgraded my Book of Nightmares, which is one of the reasons I picked it up in the first place. So now we can remove 2 cards, so we can finally get rid of that injury that we picked up by opening the hatch, which somehow all our heroes got. So here's a hard choice, is Battle Shout or Piercing Howl. I wanted to play the Mass Inspire card, because more card draw on everybody I think was going to be pretty good. I was hoping that I'd be fast enough without Piercing Howls that I could do Song of Celerity and then get everybody to get Amelia and Nezgleckt to be faster. Thankfully, I did see what the wolf was going to do, and it didn't look too damaging, so I was happy to let it go. And I mainly wanted to focus on getting that damage out as fast as possible. Nightmare's not going to be as useful this turn, so I don't go for that. We do pile up all the draw on Amelia. She's got max draw, so we need to play Arcane Reflux. We have to play a few other cards before we play Icicle Barrage. Then we have Icicle Barrage as our damage follow-up. We also have Book of Nightmares, which is going to increase our damage. Well, actually, it doesn't increase our damage just yet until we're level 3, because we don't have any card type increasing our damage. It is just 2-cost spells or more. So we're getting rid of our Broken Bones. Here, it's kind of hard for me to figure out what I want to get rid of. Icicle is easy in Amelia, but for the rest of the heroes, I wasn't quite sure. Shivs were my go-to get rid of card on Gustav. Here, the fight, I think, is actually a little bit better in terms of rewards. So I could have taken a free fight, gotten Moonstone for free, and gotten a little bit of card pool rewards. Item pool rewards, including Forest Crown. I believe if you fight, you get the Dryad Mask if you win. So I felt confident enough to be able to fight, and I took that. And again, I believe this actually is optimal high scoring route, although I think to get truly optimal, you want to have max Corruptors, but that's just luck of the draw unless you use a mod, which I think a lot of people in the high scoring community are doing right now, because it's just so tedious to have to re-roll and check your seed and make sure that you have the correct Corruptors on a run. I know some of them spend hours re-rolling, but yeah, we're able to dish out about 400 damage a turn, and that's just to a single enemy. We also pick up a Shatter here, which is very nice. I'm curious if I want to take another Expected Prophecy on Nezgleckt, but I thought maybe I could get an upgraded version later on. I do eventually want 3 in his deck, but I didn't feel the need for it right now. We also have upgraded lockpicks, so we start with even more sharp at the beginning. And then I wasn't sure if Dryad Mask was worth anything, so I look at it for a little bit. We get the Well-Fed perk. I think taking the fight there is actually better than taking the Well-Fed boon if you're trying to max out your score. But again, not really what I was going for. My goal was just to take on all Corruptors with a fun, powerful team. And again, the Insanity team that I was going to do just happened to line up with being very strong. Which is fun, because it's been a while since I've played a just very strong team. Especially after doing all mages or all DLC. Not that DLC was bad, DLC was actually quite good. But they weren't exactly rocking in the speed department. That was their major flaw, really. So, yeah. Now that we have the level 2, or sorry, it is level 2 enchantment. The level 2 Nezgleckt enchantment, where we can reduce the resistances on any one enemy by 20% for 7 hits. We're able to do a lot more single target damage to bosses. This also stacks with heavy metal, though I should do that a little bit first if I want to do maximum damage. Nice thing about heavy metal too is it doesn't proc any damage back or effects. So if an enemy has thorns, or if an enemy has, like when they get hit like Starfall, they'll do a damage back to you. That doesn't happen because it's just automatic damage. It doesn't count as you hitting them, which is kind of funny, but it works for me. Healing Rain is doing a lot of work in this run just by applying a little bit of regen, getting us a bit of health every time, and applying that wet. I wish I could upgrade it because it does actually get one more wet charge anytime I upgrade it. I don't take the other sharp song there for Gustav. We do have Santa in the background because this is around Christmas time. I like that in the background of the moon. I don't think I noticed that during the game, sorry. Here we also start fast because we got rid of the Dryad, and we are taking on one less enemy than we normally would have to, although we do so much AoE damage, I'm not sure how much that actually matters. I do want to focus down the Treant first, because I just didn't want to take any extra damage, and I knew I was going to have to attack through Thorns this turn, though thankfully Bree should be able to draw her enchantment most of the time here, and if she does, we'll have around 80 to 100 block on any one damage dealer, so they should be able to attack into Thorns kind of easily, even while we play a bunch of cards. And that's what I'm relying on. We did get the enchantment. We are trying to make max vulnerable happen as well, so we get up to that 7 vulnerable, which is very nice. I think Nezgleckt took the stacks up to 7 vulnerable perk. And now we want to do as much single target damage as possible, but really just play our best cards. We are going to have 5 energy, so I planned around that. That's why I got rid of those nightmares there. Now we have 6, so maybe I could have kept one of those. Actually 7, because I forgot to count the turn 2 thing, but we have the right amount of damage. So each Icicle Lance is doing about 100, and then we have Discharge, which does even more. Very easy fight. We didn't take any damage, really. And we got a battle plan on Bree. Not upgraded, unfortunately, so that will be a 632 upgrade, unless, of course, we get a free Corruptor upgrade, which we probably will. War Banner is something I want to take on Gustav, because it does give powerful. He gives 1 extra powerful, so that'll be 4 powerful at the start of combat, meaning Amelia will have 7 powerful always at the start of combat. And we get a gold ring, which ups Nezgleckt's damage by 1 and also gives 12% resistances, I think, so it's kind of crazy good. So here we're going to the Frostlands. I want to take the Rift up to the Armory, because at the Armory I really want the Courage gives Bless armor that you can pick up in the armor if you pick... said Armory way too much there. I want Courage equals Bless, just so that you can pick up the mass AoE Courage spells on Nezgleckt, which is a skill, and he can give Bless to the entire team. If we get the Corrupted one, he'll give as much Bless as he gives Courage, though I don't have any Courage stacks on him. Here I am skipping forward through all my deck editing processes, because I spent like 10 minutes in each town, so please feel free to pause on any parts of the deck that I'm doing. As you see, I picked up Shatters, I upgraded them to yellow, so I bought another one. Didn't upgrade my Shifting Scrolls yet. I did upgrade Nightmares to be 1 cost, because I felt like I had enough 2 cost cards in deck, along with my Shatters. And I think we got rid of Frost Novas there. My deck with Gustav didn't change too much. Oh yeah, here's my items. I did end up buying a Magic Tome there, so I could draw 1 card in any spell. I also got the Gauntlets. And yeah, we have Force Crown on Bree. So, by the way, one of the reasons you saw me pick up the speed on Gustav early on there was because I knew I wanted the ring Force Crown on Bree, but that actually might have been wrong, so a little bit hard to say. Here I have to opt between a equipment shop and a upgraded stockade. I did not need upgraded stockade, so we're going for the shop here. And I actually have a fair amount of money, but I was saving some of that money so that I could give 200 gold to the woman who is begging right outside the town. The fights are getting a little bit harder here. They have, like, I want to say double the HP that they get in Act 1, or that enemies get in Act 1. I don't know, it feels like that. It's not quite true. I feel like it's 1.75 actually. But they also have a fair amount of resistances, and yeah. Thankfully, we get 2 turns to get an excellent, so our chances of getting a good reward is really high. And one of the things that I didn't quite realize was how strong getting excellence on every fight can be. You get a lot better rewards because you have card tier 2 upgrades, so we're picking up those rares a lot more quickly than I was expecting to, like the good rares like Push Forward and other things like Book of Nightmares. And that's such an early game power spike that even if I only got 1 of those cards, like, my early game starts to be so strong that I can then more easily get a excellent in the next fight right after that. Sadly, the lizard heals and I wasn't able to kill him. on that first turn, but we do have 2 turns to get excellent, and we have the Corruptor making things slightly harder for us. I believe it gives them all resistances and health as well, but it's not too bad. So main goal is to kill him before he goes, because we don't really want him to die in poison, and Nezgleckt almost does that by himself. Then we have Amelia go, the sheep can take it out, and we're pretty happy. Now, Fanaticism here is really interesting because it does give Nezgleckt some energy, and I feel like I've been needing a little bit of energy, especially with how much he draws. So I take that there over the delay response. Tune-up is another option there that I could have had. Thermal Amulet is interesting because it ups your wet charges, but I didn't have that much reason to have too many wet charges, but then I find a purple baptism, and I think that's really fun. So I opt for that instead. Bunny fight is really annoying because we weren't quite fast enough, even with the Forest Crown here, because we had 5 frost on us at the start on Bree. So we were at 23 speed, the bunny has a 24 base speed, and yeah, it going first makes the whole enemy team go first, so we get to take a bunch of damage. Now thankfully we do have some frost, and we also can potentially slow them down, although we didn't get it on this turn. And that might make it so that we can make one of these enemies go later on the very next turn. Ideally the... Actually, not ideally the bunny, ideally the squirrel, but, you know, we don't always get what we want here. So yeah, this ends up being quite the tough challenge fight, though we did get a fair amount of block that doesn't stay. Thankfully, we do have a good amount of evasion as well. Gustav ends up dying there, which is pretty rough. We did all we could. It's part of the challenge of taking these Corruptors, I suppose. The cold hands definitely wasn't really helping too much either, since we were so frosted over. That's part of the reason that we were so slow. And yeah, I think we're going to be able to get the kill here. Arcane Reflux is pretty good. We have a lot of wet charges on everybody. We have Shatters at 2, and we have Book of Nightmares. So we get a lot of damage out here. Eldritch Discharge does a lot. Yeah, we get the kill. We get an excellent, which is nice, though Gustav did die. So he's going to have that Death Store in his deck for a little bit. We do find another upgraded delay response, which I did really want, so I'm happy to get that. It costs 0, and that's the one that I wanted. I go for the Ask here because I thought that getting a little bit of extra frost resistance would be kind of cool. And I didn't think I needed the health. I'm like, you know what, that last fight was a fluke. We're going to be just fine. Gustav dying is totally okay. Getting a push forward here is nice. It does mean that we don't have to play Song of Celerity on Gustav, though it's a little awkward because it does mean he also has 1 wasted card in hand. Though because we don't have enough energy to play every card, I don't think it's actually that big of a deal. So, we did upgrade our Reigns in Nezgleckt's deck. I guess I forgot to mention that. I'll try to be a little bit more aware as I go through the towns. I did slow down the footage to be only 100% speed in the town, so I could talk about all the deck changes that I did. But again, feel free to pause if you wanted to take a look at my decks in Act 2. Here we have our pretty straightforward goal of killing the Fiend. I wanted to focus him down first because he slows our entire team down by, like, I don't know, maybe it's just 2, but it feels like 5. And then we wouldn't be able to go first. The guy in back is immune to Frost or Chill, which is really annoying because we can't do any extra damage to him. And we get a Scourge Scarab appearing, which doesn't do anything for you other than make the fight a little bit harder. So, a little bit unlucky there. It would have been nice if it was a good Scarab to give us some nice rewards, but, you know, we don't really need it. This team's doing pretty fine. Here we go, Tactician on Bree. We go right side on Nezgleckt, and then we go left on Amelia and Gustav. This now means that we have Sharp increasing our mind damage for Amelia, and everybody on the team, actually. So not just Amelia. But it's going to be more relevant on her right now because we have that little bit of extra Sharp. Actually, I don't know why Gustav has extra Sharp right now. Oh, because, yeah, that's right, his perk. His upgrade not only gives mind damage on Sharp, but he gives him +1 Sharp just across the board. So now Amelia is starting at 12, and it's going to be increasing all of her mind damage, which is nice. Now, of course, that doesn't get benefits off of Rain, so it's a little bit awkward, because Frost damage is all that gets benefits off of, or it gets any extra damage based off Rain. So, yeah. Now I'm realizing that Nightmares aren't that good in the deck. Just we have better 2-cost cards most of the time, so I often don't want to see them. I do have Shifting Scroll for later, but mainly I do want it later because I don't want to give up any cards in hand if I don't have to. Here I had just enough to play out Nightmare and all my Shatters, so I go for that. We kill the one enemy that could slow us down or do any significant damage, so I wasn't too worried about this turn, especially because we had a lot of block. We're going to be pretty okay. Now this turn I do have to worry about the Ariel. Ariel? It's Ariel. Of course. So I do have to worry about Ariel in the back there because she's going to speed up the entire team and slow down my entire team, and it's also round 2, so it'd be a lot of damage, but we should have the damage to deal with it pretty nicely. Baptism is giving us a little bit of bless on heroes here and there, but it's not working too amazingly. I probably shouldn't have taken Baptism in the long run because something that I didn't think about. Yeah, I have to restart this run because I wanted to get an excellent. I'm so cheesy. Yeah, like at this point I was getting so many excellents that I just felt like, you know what? No, I'm just gonna get excellent. I know I can play this fight better. Yeah, the reason that we had to kill the other Lana is because they were gonna silence all of us on round 2. Really, man, that is brutal. Sorry, on round 1, not round 2. Yeah, she was gonna apply silence to every single one of us. Damn. So we needed to get rid of that. I'm surprised. I thought she always does it round 2, but I guess it could be round 1. Maybe it's the champion that always does it round 2. Maybe the champion's actually a little bit easier to fight. In any case, Lana, or Ariel there, is also going to hurt us a lot if we let her go on round 2. Well, not round 2, but if we let her go in general. So here I stack up as much AoE damage as I can, as well as some frost. We are going to stack up that dark damage on her. And Nezgleckt's resistance modifiers is all we really needed to change the entire outcome of this fight, and have Discharge do the rest of the damage. Pick up an Innervate on Nezgleckt because I do want to be giving more energy to Amelia. Get rid of Gustav's Death's Door. Take out some other cards here. I'm like, man, do I want to get rid of Shifting Scroll? No, you don't. You want Shifting Scroll for the end game. Trust me. Now here the enemies start with fast. Was it fast and evade? No, they started with something. Oh, buffer and evade, which is pretty interesting. I guess the rifts get a little bit harder as time goes on. Same basic fight, though of course the enemies are scaled up for Act 2 and they have their better cards for Act 2. Though I guess we're halfway through Act 2, so this is more like start of Act 3 enemy fights. Which does make them a little bit more threatening, but again, if you can kill the guy in back, I think you're pretty okay for the first turn, especially with all the block that we have. And then you can focus on the other enemies on the other turns. So Shatter does a lot. The reason I'm playing Shatters before Icicle Lances sometimes is because I want the 2 damage, or yeah, the +2 damage from Eldritch Sword over, or sorry, I guess it's Spell Sword. I want the +2 damage from Spell Sword over the frost damage increase on the Shatters. So that's a little bit awkward a lot of times to play around because it's hard to figure out exactly when it's going to be more damage to have your Icicle Lances do +2 more damage, or if you want your Shatters to do like +2 or 3 more damage because you have frost. No real cards I was interested in there. We do get some good upgrades here. I wanted Eldritch Sword, but I don't think it was that amazing. Dimensional Crystal is also something I really want to play with, but I didn't want to get rid of my lockpicks that easily, but I do end up doing it in the end. Rift Shard I actually thought would be good on Gustav because I didn't feel like I needed the speed on him anymore. And I felt like I'm going to pick up the what's it called, book? Ink book? I don't know. It's the boss fight, or it's the thing that whenever you play a book, you apply wet and frost to the entire enemy team, as well as a little bit of frost damage. And I thought that'd be nice for Gustav to have. That's why I picked up Musical Sheets, is because he could do a book at the start of turn. Although, to be totally honest, it would have been better to have on Bree, because Bree's always going to have battle plans, and I could have the battle plans cycling through my deck. So if I really wanted to do that, like, she would have been better off having it. But yeah, it's also not super worthwhile because you want to kind of move away from the rain team halfway through this run, since you're going to be focusing on mainly your mind damage. Spectral Missiles was something that was nice for not Gustav, but for Nezgleckt, because it allows them to do a good amount of single target damage. We're able to tank that fight there really well because of Bree's really good level 2 enchantment. And Recurring Nightmare is definitely a card I want to have in Amelia's deck. It does a lot of damage. Tactical Thinking is not a skill. I was looking at it though to see if there's anything I really wanted, because it could give you a lot of good stuff. In the end, I opt to not go for it. We do go for the better loot path that the bigger woman told us about, so we want to pick up those Paladin Gauntlets, even though the Eldritch Cloak might be better on Nezgleckt, and I totally should have taken it on Gustav and not gone for the whole Rain Frost synergy, but I thought it'd be interesting to have Frost on enemies be a little bit higher, since that does allow us to slow them down sometimes. Here I was really worried about the Bowl guy doing a ton of damage. Thankfully we got up a lot of block on Bree, and we got that resistance up on her as well, so she didn't take too much there, but she still took more damage than you might expect for having 84 block at the start of turn, or 81 block, alongside Reinforce. Of course, we aren't running too many resistance modifiers outside of anything that we pick up, so it kind of makes sense. Here our Paladin Gauntlets also aren't too useful just yet, because we don't have any courage in our deck. And we won't for a little bit here. One of the things I did want to do was take out the rat on top of take out the bull, because the rat is going to do a lot of what's it called? A lot of status removal. They're going to be reducing our aura charges by like 60% or something. So I wanted to get rid of that. And yeah, the bull nearly takes out Gustav again. Unfortunate for Gustav. Thankfully, we do have the magical torch from going to the armory, so we will be able to heal up before the start of the dragon fight for free. So I wasn't too worried about being at super low health. Otherwise, I probably would rather Gustav die there. Although even then, we can survive, since Bree is guaranteed to be faster than the dragon. We'll only be slowed down by 2 speed, since I think we start with 10 frost on us, or something close to 10 frost. So that was the game plan there, was don't worry about Gustav. Nothing else here is really good for the run, so we don't take any of it. Amulet of Thorns is showing up on, again, a non-Thorns run. We do rest up here. Gauntlets, that's like the 5th Gauntlets I've seen, and I just don't need it. I have purple gauntlets, it's fine, thank you game. But we heal up, and now I'm fairly confident we can take at least something, which is good because I actually did need the health. I didn't get any real block. I gave whatever I did get, my 1 intercept, to Gustav. However, because Gustav had, whenever he plays a spell, apply frost to an enemy, I was able to slow down the dragon just enough, as well as speed up our heroes in Nezgleckt just enough to be faster than the dragon. So we do all get to go first this first turn. And here is a very interesting card pool. I wasn't able to filter my deck too much, but I was able to get a I don't know if it's right getting rid of Shadow there. Sorry, I'm looking at my plays. I'm like, did I play that right? I feel like I played that wrong. I was able to get a lot of card draw and energy on Amelia. Unfortunately, Amelia does get stunned this turn, but we have 4 turns to get excellent, which, again, I'm going for the rest of this run, outside of that one fight. Because I forgot about that one fight, and I was honestly like, man, can I say I got all excellence on this run? No, I can't, sadly. That's close, though. Maybe I'll do another meta team at some point in the future, though. I'm planning to do something very hard for my next team, in the terms of potentially doing all block or statuses, so I'm curious to see if that's even possible. All statuses being a lot easier, although actually it's not very easy because you can't do wet and burn together, of course. Like, there's just no way to do it. So I just won't focus on doing one of those 2. Probably wet, because as good as wet is, I don't want to do another cold team. that's pretty much it. I just, like, I've been having fun with my cold teams, and they're great. They're doing real well, but I've been playing with Rains a lot, and you know what? Rain is very good. I don't need it anymore. Anyways, we take out everything with Nightmare. Cold Snap is something I think I want. Throw Bolas is a nice skill to make sure we have one extra slow, or, I mean, it's not slow, it completely slows them down to 0 speed. So I thought that would be good. Here, I'm not sure what I want. I feel like Endless Bag is definitely better than Forest Banner on Bree because she already has a ring that is giving her fast in the form of Forest Crown. So her her accessory slot there was useless. Freezing Ink is what I wanted to pick up on Gustav. I picked up the Glacial Hammer on Amelia because I actually thought I wanted a little bit more frost charges. Now, if you follow my perks that I showed at the beginning, you will be having more frost charges than I did because I took one less because I was dumb. I took frost damage instead. So yeah, we're going to be taking that Rift. We did get another Rift, and I just wanted to take all of them, so I thought that'd be fun to do. We can take the Rift, go into the, I don't know, the Forge area, and that would be very nice. Now we do have Golden Harp there for Gustav, and here I'm going to again just show you all the edits that I did and not go through the 10 minutes long that it takes to make all these decks changed. So I upgraded Throw Bolas to level 4. Instead, I have kept the Warpaint in Bree's deck, just for that little bit of extra draw. Here we have the Baptism still. We've edited out of quite a few cards, but this is mainly what I was looking for. We still have 20 cards in Nezgleckt's deck. I didn't want to spend too much money at this point because I wasn't sure what I wanted. I should probably get rid of those Nightmares at this, like right now in Amelia's deck, but I, again, wasn't really sure what I wanted. And I knew I was going to be visiting some other shops, so I kept that. The one thing I did spend a lot of shards on was Ballad of Conquest because we haven't found any yet. So I want to make sure that we had that for this fight. And then we bought Golden Harp because that reduces any song card in our hand by 1 every turn, so that should save us a lot of energy on Nezgleckt, or not Nezgleckt, but on Gustav. So yeah, here we're going to be going on to the Rift. The only way to get to it is the very bottom path, unfortunately. I was hoping that I could visit that rare merchant event, but no such luck. I believe if you do visit it, you can get an item that makes all the shops cheaper, which is pretty good. If that item can even show up. I'm not sure because it can't show up randomly at all on Madness 16 runs. It's just one of those items that's very good if you could get it on Madness 16, where all the shops get reduced by like 20% or so for both shards and gold, but sadly that's not the case. I think they did that so that people wouldn't re-roll to see if they would get that item, since it made such a big difference on runs. But yeah. Here, we're able to get a decent amount of buffer off on Amelia. We mainly got a lot of draw, though. We didn't get as much energy, though we at least have 6. Which is, you know what, that's not bad. It allows us to play 3 2-cost cards, and we do copy our first spell each turn, so I should have copied Icicle Barrage there. That was my mistake. Though I didn't have a way to empty out my hand very easily. One of the downsides of Dimensional Crystal with this team in particular, or sorry, with this setup for Amelia in particular, is that I have cards that put cards into my hand. I'm often drawing 10, so I'm max capacity anyway. So if I don't draw my enchantments or anything else that is not a spell, I can't play a spell that puts a bunch of cards into my hand, like Icicle Barrage, because it'll all just... I think it just vanishes completely. I don't know if it goes back on top of your deck or anything, but or anything else. Like, yeah, anyways. It just doesn't work out super well. So some turns are a little bit awkward like that one. Now, thankfully, we still get 2 rounds to take out all these enemies, which we definitely need. 2 rounds for Excellent is so much nicer. We had no buffer there on Amelia, but I didn't need the speed. I felt like I wanted to get the kill more than use the speed. I felt like I'd take a little bit of extra damage and we'd be okay. And we were. Like I said, I think the Nightmares are a little bit of a problem in the deck still. Not Reoccurring Nightmare. Reoccurring Nightmare is great, but I'd rather get rid of those 1-cost Nightmares in Amelia's deck. So I should have done that at the start of this act. We do get another Piercing Howl finally on Bree. It isn't upgraded, but you take what you can get. We have this fight where they start out all, I think they're supposed to be drunk from partying, so they're all weakened by 3 and they have 4 slow, so not a hard fight. It also doesn't have any random modifiers or a champion, so pretty easy all things considered, in comparison to the rest of the fights that we've been doing. Yeah, got our delay response. We were able to get rid of it because they all start with 4 slow, so I didn't have to worry about drawing into buffer to delay response Amelia. So we still have 8 energy, and we have a pretty good hand. I decided to copy Eldritch Discharge because I couldn't play the Icicle Barrage and have all of the Icicles stay in my hand. Could have argued played something else, but I thought this would be okay. I was looking at Shatter and Discharge, see if I had enough, and I did. So we get a round 1. We get an upgraded Grinding Wheel to yellow, which is perfect. It's exactly the one that I want, so we can apply Sharp to Amelia with Bree. And a lot of Sharp at that. So here I take the exotic equipment shop because I had money, and I thought there would be something really nice to get in terms of equipment. We do get a Grinding Wheel, turn 1, which, you know, is still 8 damage, it's plus 8 damage on Amelia. And then we got our empty bag proc, which was very nice. Now, starting with 2 music sheets in hand is starting to be a little bit rough, though we are applying wet every time we play one of them, so it's not terrible. But we don't have the energy on Gustav to really make it shine. So I'm really regretting my book music sheet option on Gustav. I really wish I had done it on Bree instead, because I think it'd be better in the long run on Bree. And then Gustav wouldn't have to have some kind of wasted slots on music sheets. Though again, I do really like random effects in these games because it can add a lot of spice to a run. You know, sometimes you get something just super amazing, and a lot of times you get something that doesn't help you at all. So I double up on Eldritch Discharge here. That's often my best double up card. We have just enough space for Book of Nightmares. I'm able to play Nightmare, and I want to get rid of the Lamia in back because she does a lot. And yeah, here we are a little bit low health too. Armaments was very scary. Giving them all speed and bless and resistance through zeal was just kind of tough to deal with. Which I think you can see they do a lot of damage. I was actually very worried about this fight in general. I was worried I was going to die. Thankfully, we were able to take out the champion turn 1. I think if we hadn't, she would have given like 7 buffer to every enemy, and that would have just been a lot to deal with. But here we were able to get a lot of bless out of the baptize there, so 13 bless on Amelia. We're pretty happy, and yeah, we have way too much damage. We also have no deck anymore for Amelia because basically all her cards vanish, which is something I was worried about as I saw it in this fight. I was like, oh right, we have like no game plan past rounds 1 and 2. We just hopefully we win the fight. The reason I'm taking Superconductor here is because at level 4 we're going to be modifying our damage. Not damage, we're going to be modifying, yeah, we're going to be transforming our damage to Mind for Amelia if she gets her enchantment, which I was hoping she would get. I take the Dimensional Crystal here on Nezgleckt because I thought that'd be pretty decent. Unfortunately, I find Steel Rod here, which is a free draw every turn, which is pretty much what I thought like was going to use Dimensional Crystal for. I don't take it because of sunk cost fallacy, where I already spent like 1,000 gold on Dimensional Crystal, and then I was like, well, I don't want to take the Steel Rod, but Steel Rod was 100% the correct choice there for Nezgleckt. I can tell you that for certain right now. That just would have been way better because it's draw every turn, and the copying of a singular spell isn't going to be that useful even in the future. My thought process here was like, oh, maybe I can copy like a Mind Twist or something really good later on when they have like a lot of mind damage on them, but no, it's not that good. Having the extra draw every turn would have been very nice though. So anyways, lessons learned. I made a few mistakes in this run in terms of some pickups, but it's not going to matter too much because this run is still able to get excellence a lot of the time. Or almost every time, and take on every Corruptor. This being one of the strongest teams I've done in some time. Again, a huge shout out to Lucky because they really helped me out in the high scoring Discord, figuring out what decks to kind of make in the Act 1. I was struggling a little bit in taking out enemies in one turn, and they had a deck lined up that could very easily do it. Now, you did have to spend basically all your perks on shards, but it was worth it in the end. Now for this fight, again, this is our third rift fight of the run. I don't think you can find any more rift fights other than 3, so I think we actually got lucky and we were able to hit the maximum 3, which was pretty cool. And yeah, our game plan's the same as always. We want to take out that guy in back, and we were fortunately able to do that, so we can go first on round 2 as well, instead of going second on round 2. And yeah, not too much to say. We're still sharpening up Amelia. We have heavy metal, so on turn 2, Gustav can actually start to do quite a bit of damage. We unfortunately don't have any cost reduction stuff for Gustav outside of the golden heart, which is one of the reasons I picked it up, because he seems to have a lot of energy problems. Maybe I should have picked up an adrenaline or 2 on him as I was going through the run, but I was a lot more focused on Amelia's deck and figuring out what I wanted on her. So we get a gold battle plan on Bree, which is just perfect. That'll be free in our opening hand. It lets us draw into more stuff if we need to. I thought about Endless Abyss since I'm going to be transforming damage, but I don't need it. I'd rather take a Blizzard. Then there's Battle of Evasion. I take on Gustav because it does give some buffer and some Inspire, which I think is really nice. So here I do take the Rift Force. That is the change of card. I take the double up song card on Gustav. We get an Eldritch Cloak here, which is nice because I did want Eldritch Cloak on Gustav instead. He does play some spells, so he can get some buffer. And a little bit powerful. It's not bad. There's another Dimensional Crystal. Don't really need it. I want the Eldritch Sword, but again, I don't think one spell sword is going to make too much of a difference, since even though we get 1 every turn, like, we're finishing the fights in like 2 turns, so maybe we get 2, but nah, it's better, I think, to control it. Eldritch Ring is something that's really cool, but I'm not applying enough Frost for it to really matter. So I take the upgraded Rift Shards on Amelia because I wanted the extra Frost. And yeah, we're going to agree to help the Dwarf. And we're going to level up Nezgleckt. Instead of taking the Chosen One, I wanted to go for Fated Future, where we reduce the highest cost in the hand by 10, because I thought that would let us take some really fun cards in Amelia's deck. Here we get somewhat lucky, because we get only 2 people taking the injury. So yeah, we take that Fated Future, which is something I almost never do on Nezgleckt, especially on like an insane damage run where he's like usually the mind damage carry, but not this time. This time we can give a better damage dealer the mind damage carry, because unfortunately there's just not a lot of good carry cards for the clerics, since Insanity and Sight only stack up to 100 instead of 200. They just can't do enough to be a good carry. If they stacked up to 200, actually, I think Nezgleckt would be a lot better. I mean, Deja Vu's fun. It's a good damage one. That wasn't what I needed. Dimensional Crystal doubling up Healing Rain is kind of okay. But again, if we get the... I'm like deciding if I could slow her down or not. I will opt to slow her down here because I felt like I was going to need the damage. And there's still 2 enemies going slow, and they're one of the enemies that I was going to kill anyways because I want that Seahorse dead. The Shackle's coming in clutch here because there's no way otherwise that I could kill that Seahorse. So we are able to transform all our damage to Mind. We don't have a lot of Sharp though, so there wasn't a huge benefit in doing so, other than the fact that our perks upgrade our Mind damage, so we do a little bit more there. And this turn we should be able to beat them no problem. We have the Poison going on our team every turn, but that's not that big of a deal because it just doesn't do too much. Though the big thing is that I think all the enemies get like 15% resistances at this point, so they're all quite a bit more tanky than they otherwise would be. Again, we have Sharp on Amelia, and the thing that makes her enchantment fall off is by getting Spell Sword, so you have to stack up to 7 in order to stop transforming your damage into Mind, which is almost never going to happen. Speaking of almost never going to happen, Energizing Serenade. Energizing Serenade you can only play on round 3, essentially, for Gustav, unless you get a purple tune-up or one of those cards that gives you stanza 2 on round 1. So, yeah, not going to happen. But Shatter does a ton of damage there, and yeah, now we're already seeing the benefits of transforming our damage. I take a purple Scroll of Intellect because it's kind of free in Amelia, and having that extra Energize and Inspire on round 2 could be very useful. I think about Shield Slam for a while here, and I have to take it because it does slow. Purple Steadfast Boots is actually pretty cool. It does allow Bree to go faster, which we did need her to do, and it makes her immune to both slow and shackles, which will be good in the long run. We could even give her some delay responses or whatever else we need to. And we go in as far as possible. Again, I'll slow this down to base speed for your benefit. See if you can follow along where those golden shards went. I know I had trouble following where they went, and I looked at my video and found they were on the right side. Yeah. Alright. Still don't have the right thing to do that lava fisherman. I actually forget what I need. Maybe I need Grookly for the lava fish. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, someone did actually ask me to do a Grookly hyper carry on my last DLC run that I did. I'm voicing over this after that, so maybe I'll do that sometime soon. But for now, we are focused on our Insanity team. We have a basic fight here. By basic, I mean not random, so no champion, which is, again, very good for us, because champions are very scary. Figuring out our turns on Amelia was really fun. Like, I don't know, definitely something of a puzzle box to figure out. Discarding cards for Cold Snap was also something I was hoping to do a bit more often than was happening. I was hoping to get Shatters in the discard a bit more often, but it just wasn't working at this point in the run, though I think it works a little bit better later on. And our non-upgraded Piercing Hell is not going to do anything there, so no point in playing it. Again, round 2, we're pretty happy. There's no way that they're surviving. We can't play our Ballad of Conquest, sadly. But again, that's mainly for later. I think I was able to play it like once in Act 2 so far. So maybe I didn't need to buy it. Or sorry, this is Act 3. I was able to play it once in Act 3 so far, and maybe I didn't need to buy it, but it's still not bad. I pick up that purple Frost Nova because it looks very tempting. It's a lot of base damage on it, and we are very powerful, so I thought that was cool. I could get a setup on Gustav, even if it's not upgraded, I can upgrade it later. Since we already bought the one and only setup we can buy, it's nice to be able to have 2. And we get Command and Conquer here, so we're able to play out our hand. We get that extra Inspire at the end, which is very cool. And here I'm deciding what Gustav wants to do on turn 2. We have a Song of Quickness, so we can get everybody up in Stanza. Stanza does increased damage, mind damage on everybody, so that's one of the reasons to take it, is we get that little extra base damage for both Amelia and Nezgleckt for their cards. Except not for that flash, of course. The one thing I wasn't certain about here was whether I could attack into the Retribution block card here. Now we are able to double up Icicle Barrage and get Icicle, all the Icicles from it, so that was one nice thing about not having too much Inspire. But yeah, here, because we had random cards that were attacking into it, I opt to attack into the boss, the one and only guy that we need to kill. We don't get the kill this turn, so we do unfortunately have to take quite a bit of damage. And now they have 400 block on the next turn, but I'm pretty confident in being able to deal with 400 block, especially with a little bit more vulnerable and a little bit of more mark, as well as a double Ballad of Conquest. Look at that, triple Ballad of Conquest. Oh my gosh, Gustav's popping off. We could probably finish him off with Spectral Missiles right there. I just don't think about it because I'm like, you know what, Amelia will carry. But Nezgleckt also had 16 Bless and 12 Sharp on him, so, and 8 Powerful, so you could probably do it. Alongside 3 Stanza, yeah. Spectral Missiles does ignore block. That's the reason I'm saying that we could have done it. Here, another Grinding Wheel might have been nice, but I felt like I needed some energy on Bree, especially because she had the, every time she loses her hand, she draws cards. We don't have a lot of melee attacks, so I don't know how useful that Continuum Blade is going to be on Bree, but I opt to take it. We do get a Purple Blizzard option here for Amelia, which is very nice, because that's something that I wanted. Even if we transform the damage to Mind, it's not too bad. It still is very high cost, repeat, high damage for quite a while. But if we don't transform our damage to Mind, it ends up being very good, because it increases its own damage by applying a bunch of Wet, and we're still applying a lot of Wet with our entire team. Again, something I'm going to opt out of in Act 4. I probably transitioned a little bit later off of that than I should have, but it's always hard to say. I mean, you kind of want the Wet damage until you have the transform damage to Mind, which you get halfway through Act 3. So, I don't know. I probably did it at just the right time. You know what? Actually, I played perfectly. I made no mistakes. Alright, so I upgrade, or I do a double Eldritch Discharge there. I take out the Harpy and back because they were going to apply speed to the entire enemy team and make it so I couldn't go first, which I didn't want to deal with. Unfortunately here, it's going to be hard to get that Scarab because they have a lot of resistances thanks to the 7 Zeal, which gives 7% resistance for every stack you have. And the front guy is taunting. So even though we have 3 turns for the Excellent here, which I was hoping to take advantage of, it's going to be quite hard to get that Scarab in back. We have the Icicle Barrage. We have Recurring Nightmare. I'm thinking of all the ways that I could possibly get it, but it just doesn't seem like it's going to be possible. And I want to kill the enemies before they go because I don't want to take a ton of damage, although honestly I probably could have. Here I was hoping Nezgleckt was going to have a little bit more damage, but he didn't. Again, I had one more turn anyways, so I was hoping to be able to take out all the enemies plus plus the Scarab, but yeah, I probably should have just focused the Scarab, taken that extra damage from the enemies, and then I could have walked away from this fight with a few more rewards. So, could have played that more optimally. Doesn't really matter in the end. We don't need the extra, I think, money that Scarab gives. Though extra money is always nice. Here, Divine Power is something I often take on Nezgleckt, but we have so much Powerful in our carries already, and I don't think I need the Bless. The Energize is nice, but I end up not taking it. Here, I want to remove a card because we have some bad cards in our deck, thanks to the earlier challenge where we had to get into the Rift. Not the Rift, the Forge. So, we're going to be dealing with that. Now we are facing we are facing an Aerial and whatever you want to call the enemy type there. Double Harp Lamias there. They are Siren, thank you. For mousing it over past me. You knew exactly what I was talking about. No. Yeah, we want to take out the Siren because the Siren is going to speed up the entire enemy team. And then the other one is going to make it very annoying to attack into the entire enemy team. So, but funny enough, the non-champion version is actually a lot more threatening than the champion version, so we will be focusing them down. Ideally killing both, that's why I'm setting up for Shatter and Discharge. I have to check my damage a lot between Shatter and Discharge because they do so much AoE, and you want to play them a little bit later. Now, unfortunately, I do the dumb thing here of putting Maximum Grinding Wheel on Amelia, which is, I don't know, maximally dumb and playing a bunch of Ballad of Conquest, so like pretty much guaranteeing my sheep is going to kill the Scarab right there, just barely too. So yeah, I could have let it live and we could have gotten another Excellent, but I was a little bit dumb. Battle plan there would have been upgraded. Sometimes I'm wary of having 2, but it is another book, and what I really want is the book Give Inspire to all enemies. I don't opt for it, which I probably should have. Here I'm realizing nightmares aren't that good. It took me a while to realize that. I could see it early on in retrospect. But yeah, sometimes it's hard to figure out like what's going right or wrong in a run as you're playing it. There's just a lot of considerations you're making at all times, and figuring out how to best play your decks that, I don't know, I find it a bit challenging. I'm sure some other people do too. And if you don't, well, good for you. Here, though, I'm not too worried about the Lava Golem. We have cold damage if we really want to deal extra damage, or our mind damage isn't really highly resisted either. So, yeah, this shouldn't be too bad of a fight, regardless of what way we want to tackle it. We almost killed the Spike incidentally. We aren't even focusing it, really. But it's almost down, and Nezgleckt's going to have a lot of damage this turn. I'm not sure if we could do it round 1 or round 2. I forget. God, I love the Spikes having, like, 2 health, so that, like, 2 regen on them. They're like, oh, man, he's healing back half his health. Half of his 2 health. Incredible. But yeah, you can see our doubling up of spells isn't being too useful on Nezgleckt. We do have the enchantment that gives us all mind damage. So I think that was a little bit more damage when I was running the numbers. It's not that much more. Looks like we're not going to be able to take him out on round 1. It's just a bit unfortunate, but it's not that big of a deal. Thankfully, we can't be slowed on Bree. or shackled, I mean. So that steadfast boots came in clutch because he does shackle the fastest enemy. In Act 3, I believe he does that turn 1. So it was very good for us to have that purple steadfast boots. Makes me happy. I think I'll be keeping those the rest of the time. And here we're just focusing him down because I was hoping I could kill him like this turn. Unfortunately, Nezgleckt doesn't seem to be drawing his major damage, and Mind Twist is already a little bit low. So we're going to have to do at least one more turn here. Now, thankfully, we have a ton of rain, so we're not giving him a lot of fire to heal off of outside of the fire that he's putting on that very turn. We do manage to pick up that Mind Twist, but it's still not quite enough. And we had a fair amount of block, so we weren't in danger of dying, and he can't heal up a ton because there's so much wet everywhere. We are up to maximum insanity already, which is really cool. It means that the resistances are very low, and the sheep can finish him off. We get a nice reward of last reward. God, too many same words I'm saying. Ball lightning I'm thinking about because it does repeat a lot of times, and we're transforming the damage to mind. So if I transform the damage and I can guarantee transforming the damage, ball lightning could be a very good card, even though it's not applying insanity by itself. It's also a big cost card that we can reduce, just like Blizzard. So I take it. We take Omniscience there as well, and the last reward is going to make it so Gustav has a much better deck. So it even came upgraded, so we can make it cost 0, and then he can take a card from his discard and make it cost 0 and banish and then play it for free. So we can play a lot of battle ballots per turn. That's the end goal. Excuse me. Alright, Lava Crystal I'm interested in because it applies powerful, but I have enough powerful, so I don't opt for it. Now we could take the key to the middle there. We don't really need to though because we want the free Nezgleckt shop. Fountain Pen is just the book I was looking for. We also have Golden Harp, or the book Synergy I was looking for Bree. So here we do have that Carnage still. We have our upgraded push forward to the right upgrade. So that's all great. We still have the Omniscience. We got rid of a lot of other cards, though not too many. We picked up Anthem of Hope. That's the big thing in Nezgleckt's deck. We have our Purple Blizzard and Ball Lightning as our main damage dealers. We get rid of the other Nightmare. We picked up a Winter's Knight's Tale because I wanted to upgrade it to purple. That was the plan at the very start. We also upgraded our Cold Snaps to 0 so that we could get our Blizzards down to 3. If we Scroll of Intellect, we upgraded Scroll of Intellect as well. There we also have Fortune Telling. We upgraded that finally, as well as getting the Anthem of Hope. Fortune Telling being 8 discard instead of just looking at the top 5 is a lot better. And we picked up a tune-up because we are planning to get that purple as well for the bell, or through the bell. So, yeah. That is the main things that we were doing there. We still have double music sheet, which I don't think is actually that good. Am I looking at changing it? No, we're changing Ballad of Evasion so we can do it stanza 2. And then what other changes over here? Yeah, we're moving a music sheet, right? Yeah. Right? Come on, me. Pass me, I know. I remove it. Yeah, there we go. You can see how slowly I do things naturally. It feels like looking at things in slow motion now, doesn't it? After watching it like sped up 400 times footage. Oh, man. But yeah, so we are taking that entire bottom path. I don't know what that rare bridge event is. I think it's another slimes that you can pick up, but I'm not too sure because it's a question mark now. And I know the top one is slimes. So I thought I'd done it at one point in the past, but I guess not. Yeah, so our music sheet here isn't too interesting. Again, I should have gone off of the wet a little bit faster than I did. But the tune-up is something that I really wanted to make purple, and same with the Winter's Knight's Tale. Of course, we could always get unlucky and not have it be purple. There's a 70% chance that it becomes purple, but a 30% chance that it doesn't. So that's worse than Stone Edge, and if you've ever played Pokemon, then you know that's not too great of a deal. Now, thankfully, we're getting more into our synergies of discarding our high-cost cold cards and putting them in the discard so that we can pick them up with Cold Snap. And our Amelia deck, I want to say, is pretty close to optimal. We were able to double up on Blizzard there, so we do a ton of damage. We don't get our enchantment straight away, but that's still okay. We have, yeah, more than enough damage to take out the entire enemy team turn 1. We got another Ballad of Conquest, which is really good for Gustav. Honestly, I'm surprised we haven't seen more. Singing Sword is another way we could get stanza 2 if it gets too purple. but we have no way of forcing that, so we just have to get lucky. And we couldn't buy it anyways, we didn't have enough money. That shop also doesn't have a lot of interesting things for us. This hexproof is going to be a little bit hard, but hey, we get shards and money out of it, so... And we have to take every challenge we come across anyways. That's one of the other reasons that we picked up Oculi early on. I forgot to mention that. We picked him up really early on. Oculi does help us get rid of a lot of those buffers. But we haven't had to deal with hexproof too much. I think this is like our second or third one, so it's not too bad. Lucky us, because we aren't able to apply a lot of wet or mark or anything really, or vulnerable to the enemy team. Can't even slow them down. So we're really relying a lot on Amelia's base damage here. That said, we did get the slow on the back and the front guy. So lucky in that respect. And we have so much Inspire now that the Inspire perk on Gustav is ending up being bad. But I'd say it was really good in the early game, so I don't regret taking it at all. I have to play that extra cold spell or cold snap so that I had enough cards in hand to get the doubled up Icicle Barrage, since it is a spell. And yeah, from here I really just want to take out the highest damage dealers. We had enough for Eldritch Discharge to take out the front guy, so now I knew I could take out the front and the back, and we don't take any extra damage that turn, which is good because we are potentially going to have to face some really challenging Corruptors later on here. Yeah, here's our round 2 without anything crazy. Without last reward, I think. We got our Ballad of Conquest off like 2 or 3 times. Our plan is to play it like 4 times. We got Omnipotence on Bree, so now she can have a more consistent deck in general. We got also just a lot of triple and double poison cards, as well as a bunch of neurotoxins there, so it's just very weird. We're going to ring the bell once here, and I went at base speed there. But yeah, we got the lucky tune-up, Winter's Knight's Tale. We're also making purple, and I thought Mind Twist for purple would be really fun. I spend the extra shards just to make it more likely for some reason. And what else do I want to make purple? There's other cards here that could be very fun. Grinding Wheel could be good. Not that good though. Battle Plan can be nice, but Vanishing is kind of funny. And yeah, I should have taken that extra upgraded Battle Plan. I'm so silly. I had another Battle Plan in deck. Man, I saw that earlier. But Battle of Conquest, I think, is actually what we end up going for here. Even though Music Sheet's pretty good as a upgrade, because cost reduced by 2. There's also Chant of Initiative, which could double up on our ways to get a stanza 2 early on turn 1, which is exactly what we're looking for. But I do it on Music Sheet. We get a purple Music Sheet, so hopefully that'll be a little bit more useful of a card, because at this point I just have to play with it. Free upgrade I'm looking at. It could be nice. I don't really need the card removal. My decks are pretty solid as it is, even if they are a little bit fat and not the most consistent. They're consistent enough. And sometimes having a fatter deck is a little bit nicer in the late game. Particularly when your deck has to fill up with sads or something else. Which is a Corruptor that we've been fortunate enough not to get, because that one would be really rough for this run. That one gives them like 40% mind resistance or something like that. So we'd have to focus on making Amelia not use her enchantment. Either that or apply enough insanity that it didn't matter. So here we get our free ball lightning. The Faded Future is working out very nicely. We get the Blizzard for 3, which we could copy up. We can discard that Scroll Nightmare. We now have enough energy to play all the cards in our hand for the most. Not all the cards actually. I lied. But we do get to play most everything, and that is a really good turn 1. That's exactly what we want to be doing almost every time with Amelia. Just took a lot to set up. There's another neurotoxin there on Gustav, by the way. I didn't count how many there were, but if someone does, please let me know, because man, that was amazing. We got so many neurotoxin plus the double or triple poison card. We just got like a ton of it on Gustav in the last act here, and I don't know why the game wanted me to do poison. So we have a bunch of free items here that are all unfortunately useless. That was a very sad Nezgleckt free shop. We didn't get any like epic options that were decent there. I mean, we got the one like Ankh, which gives you health every time you play a card, but that's not that great. Not for a hyper damage carry run. Might be good for like a tanky can't deal attack damage run. Gosh, I'm not looking forward to that. That one's gonna be so rough. Alright. This fight here, a little bit scary because they are all dark, so if they get to go on, or if they get to go off on a turn, I might actually have some dark explosions popping, and I don't have too much block from Bree. We only got 19 on everybody, thanks to the push forward. So I definitely have to kill an enemy or two here. I can't afford not to. And also, unfortunately, we didn't get the Fated Future, so that's not a free Ball Lightning. It's a very expensive Ball Lightning. I'm going to opt to double up Blizzard here. We won't be able to play Ball Lightning even with the cost reduction. So that just ended up being very rough for us. We could have played more cards there if we didn't have that Ball Lightning in hand. Thankfully, we were able to kill at least one enemy, so we don't pop and we didn't take too much damage. Well, I say that. Bree's at like half health, but that's fine. Bree can be at half health. So yeah, we Ballad of Conquest. I think 4 or 5. I think that was 5 times there. Plus we played the Ballad of Invasion. No, that wasn't 5 times. 4 times? 3 times? 3 times? 4 times. You know, a number of times. I think we had like 5 sharps, so I want to say 4 times. Yeah, pretty good. But not the best. Another neurotoxin, more neurotoxins, and doubling up. We take another Book of Nightmares there because that seems pretty good. There's another dimensional crystal too. Man, we found a ton of those. Quill Rain, which could be really good. Another Eldritch Ring, which would be nice, but we just don't have a lot of frost. And then stimulant pills. I didn't feel like need the speed, and I like my bag on Bree, so I don't take it. This fight, I don't think is going to be too much of a problem. They don't resist mind in particular. They're just generally fairly tanky, though they're more physically tanky and then light and holy tanky. I believe their mind resistance is just kind of average at like 40% or something. Which is not too bad for the resistances we've been facing. So we were able to play 2 Battle of Conquest turn 1 there. That was sort of the goal with getting that purple tune-up. That's why we got it in the first place. Something very fun about going this run is the fact that you can guarantee some purples. We were mainly doubling up on that flash for extra draw there on Nezgleckt. So instead of 1 extra draw every turn, we get 1 extra draw at the start of the fight, usually, at the start of combat. Or just once. Yeah, not very good. We do get a little bit of extra bless there, thanks to the mass AoE, God, what's it called? Courage spell, Anthem of Hope. So we are playing to double up Blizzard here. Shatter was free because it was the highest cost card in our hand. I'm looking to do as much damage as possible. Our purple Winter's Knight's Tale does also get us cold cards that stay in the deck. That's one of the reasons I picked it up, was because it was basically the only thing that we had that didn't vanish. And it'll give us some damage over time in case we need it in the late game against the final bosses. Unfortunately, we aren't able to get the kill on either enemy here turn 1. But very fortunately, he's only at 458 health, so we could probably kill him in a couple, like probably 2 or 3 attacks. And then we don't take too much damage from his retaliatory effect, meaning that we're going to be pretty safe. So, main goal here is to play that Energizing Serenade because, you know, I very rarely get to play Energizing Serenade, but since we got stanza 2 on round 1, we can get stanza 3 on round 2 and have a ton of energy for all our heroes. Yeah, and a ton of draw. Energizing Serenade's so fun. Our purple Mind Twist is also really good because, unlike any other Mind Twist, this one applies damage X based off of their total insanity. So, instead of just 0.5 of it. So it does increase his damage quite a bit. Yeah, man, Insane only stacks to 100 and it only gives you the 0.5 modifier on damage. It's so rough. Even though you can do sharp with it, but... yeah, we get a purple last reward, which is pretty fun on Gustav, because there are some vanish cards that we want. Meteor Shower, I'm very tempted to take, because, you know, I'm transforming damage to Mind, but I take the Cursonomicon instead, because I'm also going to be doing some Mind stuff there. We get lucky and find a golden harp here. I was honestly hoping for a lot better shops along my way, so I'd saved a bunch of money and not bought the golden harp earlier, but now we can take it for free. I want the energy on Nezgleckt, I think. Even though the Raven Staff is pretty good. I do like the draw, although I guess I take the Raven Staff there. No, I don't. I know I take the Sapphire Ring eventually. Oh man. So yeah, we take the golden harp, we take this sapphire ring. Okay. I wanted to like take a look at this. For a long time I was looking whether I wanted unlimited blades, so we could have 3 charges at the start of the turn, of the first turn. Or if I wanted to take the time paradox ×2, because doubling up Eldritch Discharge is kind of fun, but it wasn't going to be that crazy. And then Time Loop, I don't know if I'm even going to be able to pop it more than once or twice, because I haven't been popping it too much earlier. We take Choir, so we always have stanza 3, or we will always only have stanza 3 once we get up to it on all our heroes, because I thought that would be pretty good. Bree gets 1 more energy, being tireless, and Nezgleckt gets a +1 inspire, +1 buffer, and +2 sight, I think. I think that's what he gets on his level 4. So we're doing pretty good. Double time paradox also seems pretty nice. This fight, that was a lot of resistances here. I think it's like +20% resistances at this point, and they have like +75 HP. So they're all quite a bit tankier here. Sometimes very hard for us to get through, I would imagine. We are able to double up on the spectral missiles, so we take the bat guy down quite a bit, which is mainly what I was focused on because I know he does the most damage out of anybody here. We have a free ball lightning, and we're able to transform the damage into mine, so this is pretty much the ideal turn. Again, one of the things of just like playing with Nezgleckt is we get to filter out our damage quite a bit. So here it's quite difficult to figure out which way I wanted to play it, but then I realized that we had so much damage it was going to be totally fine. There's another poison catalyst. At this point I'm like, do I take poison flask? No, definitely not. Here we have Lightbringer, which I think is kind of fun as a weapon. I do like the draw with Nezgleckt, but the Lightbringer, whenever we apply Bless, we do some damage, but mainly it gives us that +1 extra Bless charge, so that 1 Courage card is going to be giving us 3 Bless on all our heroes and 1 Inspire for basically 1 cost, because Nezgleckt gets a refund of 1 for every cost skill that he plays. Here I'm doing last minute upgrades, last minute removals. Intercepts don't seem too useful anymore. Neither does Carnage, to be honest, but I kept it because I know I'm going to be having a lot of Bless and Sharp, so it is a way for Bree to do a lot of damage. Actually, no, maybe I got rid of it. Either way, getting rid of it, keeping it, doesn't make too much difference probably. So here we actually have the success on the altar. We got very lucky and got the critical success, so we actually can upgrade a lot more cards here. But only like 1 or 2 gold cards. So we get 1 upgrade there. Here is, do we upgrade the rest of our gold cards, or do we upgrade a few others? Probably Ballad of Conquest would be a good one there. Battle Plan also upgrading to 2 is not bad. So I did the double battle plan because we had the 1 book that gives Inspire on everybody every time we play a book, or sorry, the Fountain Pen gives Inspire on all our heroes every time we play a book. So we no longer have to give that 1 Inspire to Gustav, we can give it to everybody else, so everybody else has a much better starting turn. Fountain Pen I think is probably the best thing we could find for Bree. It also gives her 1 extra draw. Interesting, I discard everything there because I want that purple tune-up. That's why. Yeah, I'm like, man, now we can scavenge Encore, get double Ballad of Conquest. So we double up our Ballad of Conquest on turn 1. We get a lot of Sharp on everybody. No, we triple up on it. Yeah, triple Ballad of Conquest turn 1. That's the power of purple tune-up there. So very nice for us. We have a upgraded Mind Twist for free. Because we wanted to double up on that spell instead. So now we're finally able to use the Dimensional Crystal for damage. I'm like, see, I knew it would be good. That's past me being like, yeah, it's totally worth keeping it in the deck. Or keeping the Dimensional Crystal. But it's a shame that I ended up buying that first. Definitely could have used the extra 1,000 gold throughout the run too. Here we were able to discard a lot to get down enough for Ball Lightning, and yeah, we just have the damage. So fights are going pretty well so far. Don't know if I need another Blizzard on Amelia. And Enrage is basically Enrage is a free draw 1, gain 2 energy for Bree, because she makes all skills cost 0. There's another Neurotoxin, which is just hilarious. Man, I need some water at this point. Titanfall is just 1 extra way to apply Vulnerable. I was worried about my vulnerability charges at the end here. We had a free upgrade on our Ballad of Conquest anyway. We have free upgrade of Monogem. A lot of good stuff here. We can get rid of one extra card. Throw Bolas. He's kind of worth keeping sometimes because you make the bosses get shackled, but I think I get rid of it right there. And then the Squid is going to read Hanshek's mind, because the Squid is totally the carry of this run. He's actually kind of the carry because he supports Amelia and anybody else so well that, like, I don't know. Maybe you could interchange any, like, hyper carry, but you can't interchange anybody for the Squid. So does that make the Squid more this carry? It's a good question. We did go for Ballad of Evasion 3, it looks like there. That is so funny. Oh man, I don't know how worthwhile that actually is. We do have our... I didn't play any of these speed ups or slow downs for Bree and Gustav there because I wanted to make sure we could slow down the clones for round 2. I did get that double up Mind Twist because I wanted to be able to play it on another later turn against Hanshek because I'm still kind of hoping to save our pets. I actually forget whether I do or not, so we'll see. I felt like this team definitely had the potential to. Like, this team does a pretty good job, if anyone does. Though we're not doing too much damage just yet. We can transform all our damage to Mind. Blizzard is going to be applying a bunch of Frost every hit. We have the apply extra Insane on Amelia as well as extra Sight. So we're getting that up pretty nicely. We just got enough Frost on everybody so that they're all going slower than both Bree and Gustav, meaning that we'll probably be able to speed ourselves up enough. And I felt like we had enough AoE damage that I could probably just focus Hanshek for the remainder of the fight, especially if we can draw a few more cards for the next turn on Amelia. Though we're probably drawing like 10 on everybody except Gustav anytime that Nezgleckt gets to go. That's why Bree has so many cards. One of the downsides, or one of the major like losses this run is that we just didn't get a Necropotence on Amelia. Necropotence on Amelia is like probably the best thing you can get. It's a 2-cost card, so N vanishes. It's a mage card, and then that procs Spell Sword, and then you can proc Spell Sword into the time loop where all your vanished cards go back into your draw pile, and they're all reduced by 3. So you could draw just an insane amount of cards. Sadly, didn't get any of that. We do get more Ballad of Conquest here. We're able to get up to 40 sharp already for Amelia, make that 45 sharp and 18 bless. So this turn is the turn that we actually can have a lot more damage, 21 bless. I'm really hoping to get the kill here. Spectral Missiles, Mind Twist, get him down to 5,700 HP. And it's looking fairly likely, but I don't know how good my next round's going to be because I don't have a lot of energy on Amelia, even though I do have maximum draw. So we can take a look at our hand, see what's going to be. We're going to have a free Ball Lightning, which is pretty good. But that means I want to take out the rest of the enemies with AoE if I can. And then we don't actually have any... We have like 2 2-cost cards in our hand. So we want to play Shatters that go into our deck first. And then we're Recurring Nightmare. That does like 2,500. Ball Lightning does another 2,000. And yeah, we save our pets. Easy peasy. Yeah. As you might imagine, this run's pretty strong. It's always worth saving our pets, right? Man, that feels great. So yeah, the rest of this probably isn't going to be too hard. We don't want to let him get to round 3. We could take a lot of damage. We have a lot of Vanish cards in Amelia's deck, and he does do damage based off of the Vanish cards that you have. So it's a little bit risky to go to round 3. Fortunately, I think I have the damage to kill in round 2. And again, I'm not playing any of the speed up cards outside of that one, the Chant of Accuracy, or I don't know what chant that is. The one that gives 4 speed on Bree, so that she could outspeed the clone on the next turn, even if we couldn't slow it down, which we're definitely going to be able to. That was one of the reasons I kept Chant of Initiative as well, is because I knew that I might want Bree to outspeed the clones if I like somehow messed up my slow game on this fight, or on the last 2 fights, where Hanshek and the Archon go after both Nezgleckt and Amelia. That was the one thing I was kind of afraid of. I'm not planning on playing too many martyrdoms here because I just don't think I'll need it, even though we can. We have the upgraded Mass Dispel as well. I took that just in case we went before the clones so that we could have buffer on everybody, making it so that they wouldn't be able to lower our draw, our Inspire, and our Energize. So yeah, I had a lot of plans that didn't end up needing to happen because I was able to just go slower anyways. That free ball lightning doesn't feel nearly as good when it's not mind damage, though we do have 14 wet on the boss and 12 wet on the clone, so it's not too bad, all things considered. And it has a high base damage, so yeah, that's a good amount. That was a couple hundred. And this isn't really the turn I'm expecting to do a ton anyways, because we don't have a lot of Sharp or Bless, and it's round 2 that I'm really hoping to do all that damage. Now we get the double piercing howl, which is great. We can slow down the clone to be even slower than the frog, and then the frog can hopefully speed us all up. Nope, never mind, we got pushed forward, so Bree's just gonna do it all. She's gonna slow everybody down, get everybody to 7, or get the boss to 7 vulnerable, speed everybody up, and give us all a bunch of block this turn, as well as heal us back up and make us have a bunch of mitigate. Bree is an amazing support, definitely one of the best, I think. I think she's the best warrior support in my mind, just because she starts with that fast item, so she's technically the fastest warrior. And then she also has that free skills, so, or the skill cost reduction, which helps so much. Ballad of Conquest here, we are able to double up on the good one. I think, no, we couldn't double up. So I played Ballad of Evasion because we weren't able to double up. We actually didn't pop off on Nezgleckt as much, or on Gustav as much as I hoped. We were able to do double Mind Twist though, which was nice. That was like a cool 1,000 or maybe it was like 1,200 damage on the boss. Either way, it was pretty good. It was nice that he was at max insanity. Spectral missiles are doing quite a bit. I wasn't sure if I had enough damage to kill the clone, but I have 10 energy on Amelia as well as maximum draw. Here I knew I had enough, so yeah, I have to play this carefully because I want my Vanish cards to go back into my deck. I had enough energy that I could afford that 5 cost Ice Comet, so we need to play a few more of our Vanish cards here. And now every time we play a spell, it like reduces the highest cost card in our hand by 1. So yeah. We have so much energy. Ice Comet stays too at that reduced cost, like permanently. So we can pick it back up, play it for 2. Or now we play Ice Discharge instead. But now we have Time Loop activated, so all of our Vanish cards went back into our draw pile. And the boss only has 5,572 health remaining, which I don't think will be enough to get him into round 3. Even though, like I said, his round 3 is very scary. There's the purple tune-up. Man, got that pretty late. That's sad. We do have last reward though, so we were able to take another Ballad of Conquest, get up to 47 sharp on Amelia, almost max sharp, half the maximum bless. Nezgleckt at this point is also just doing a solid amount of damage. We're already down to 3,500 HP, so we've taken out 2,000 with Nezgleckt and Gustav. And yeah, we were going to have more than enough damage to take out the boss this turn. So we saved our pets, we took all Corruptors, we got almost all Excellence, and we unlocked 2 new cards. And definitely got our best score ever, by far, because we took all Corruptors. We had 1 death as well. So yeah, pretty fun team, fun run, really, really strong. Glad I got to show off a strong team for once, and it was also just a theme team of mind damage. The new mind damage team. I know I did this somewhat recently, but this definitely changes the whole dynamic of how that team feels. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about this run other than like our items were good. I felt really happy about most of it. It definitely took a while to play just because like making sure that you set up the person immediately is not how I normally play. Like I like to have 2 or 3 carries, but playing with just 1 was definitely a bit of a different dynamic. So yeah, I talked about the inoptimal plays I did during the start of the run. I think a lot of the cards that we had were good though, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great day wherever you are, and goodbye. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel a lot. I'd appreciate it very much. Thank you very much, and goodbye.